5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to Trojan Vision's The Week That Was, where we cover the news and events for the week ending Friday, April 18th. I'm Paige Ray. Thank you so much for joining us. Our top story: oftentimes small towns like Troy have the benefit of being considered safer than large cities. But that doesn't mean people will never find themselves in strange or even dangerous situations. That's the case for two girls who say they were approached by strangers and left feeling uncomfortable. Emily Clegg has their story.
Troy, Alabama is a relatively peaceful town. It's not often that we hear of major crimes happening in this area. However, several Troy students claim they've been approached by a person who has made them feel unsafe.
I was walking into the Z-Tech to go give them my cash, and this lady pulls up in a car and stops me, and she says, "Hey honey, do you like a lot of different kinds of music?" And she seemed nice, and I don't want to be rude, so of course I said yes, and she kind of waved me over to come closer to her car, and thankfully someone pulled up behind her to get out and honk their horn, and I just sort of nicely said goodbye and ran inside.
Gwen is not the only student that has been approached at a gas station.
I was pumping my gas when a woman came around the corner and asked if I had any dollars to spare for her to get gas. She said she just needed enough to get out of town. I checked, and obviously I didn't have any cash. And I told her that, and she then insisted that I put it on my credit card. I've never felt unsafe on Troy's campus or in Troy, so I think I was just really in shock that this is even happening.
So what do you do if you find yourself in a potentially dangerous situation?
Be verbal. Your voice is one of your biggest weapons. So you tell the individual to stay back. Tell them, no, I don't want you in my space. If that person is still a threat and they don't move, that's where you need to be on your phone, and you definitely need to be contacting the police. Don't hesitate if you've told someone to stay back and get away from you to contact the police.
Now, according to the website worldpopulationreview.com, 291 people have been reported missing in the state of Alabama just in 2024. This is why it's important to always be aware of your surroundings and to remember, stranger danger. Emily Clegg, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
Farmer says another way to stay safe is to travel in groups. And if you ever do have to travel alone, be sure to let someone know where you are going. Staying with safety news, this week Troy University's Lethal Means Reduction program took a proactive step in addressing a critical issue facing campuses nationwide: suicide. According to recent studies, guns are the #1 reason for individuals to die by suicide in the state of Alabama. Representatives talked to students about how important it is to look after your mental health and how to help those who may be struggling. Students were given flyers and magnets with information about on-campus resources, including counseling and suicide prevention. Students who got there early even received gun locks to help prevent suicides with guns. Dr. Kamessa Doss, a social professor of psychology with the university, shares her thoughts on the matter.
Suicide is prevalent in almost every economic status. It can happen to anyone, and it's 100% preventable. So we want to make sure we spread the word about the resources that are available to students and how we can reduce lethal means, because actually firearms is the #1 way that individuals in Alabama die by suicide.
If you or anyone you know are in need of assistance dealing with mental health issues, you can call 988 for the Suicide and Crisis Prevention Hotline. Staying with top stories, students had the opportunity to meet the people who have the power to give them their first post-graduation news job. It happened during the Hall School of Journalism and Communications recent career fair. Reporter William Eldridge takes us there.
Finding an internship that fits your career choice is the first step in finding a job that fits you. Troy University's Hall School of Journalism and Communications hosted a career fair for that very purpose.
Today is purpose to allow students an opportunity to meet with employers and then also to network and form relationships, but at the same time be able to acquire internships and even perhaps for our seniors acquire an entry-level position.
Coming to the career fair is the easy part, but what should students do to be prepared for those internships?
Consider what field they'd like to work in. Specifically, if you want to go into broadcast, if you want to go into, multimedia journalism, what are some of the skill sets required to do so? That's even in broadcast if you want to work behind the scenes or in front of the scenes. And then from that point to get your foot in the door in terms of your experience.
Experience can be found on Troy's campus via TrojanVision News, the Metropolitan, and the Palladium, just to name a few. That experience is also what potential employers say they want students to have.
I'm a huge believer in what happens here at Troy, and Troy Vision is vitally important. And I always tell Dr. Hawkins, I think he said that you guys were regarded as the 5th best journalism school in the country. I put them higher. If I get a Troy grad that's applying for a job, 9 times out of 10, we're looking at that one a lot more than the others.
Over 10 separate organizations were at Wednesday's career fair, including representatives from television, radio, and public relation entities. William Eldridge, Troy, TrojanVision News.
For more information about career fairs just like that one, you can visit Troy University's Office of Career Services. The career fair was also a chance for Troy graduates to come back and share what they've learned since graduation. That was the case for TrojanVision alumna Caroline Gerhart. During her visit to Troy, Gerhart talked with students about what they can expect during their first job. Reporter Belle Johnson has Garrett's advice.
Entering the workforce can be an overwhelming topic for many college students. Wednesday, alum Caroline Gerhart returned to Troy to talk to students about entering the news industry. Gerhart currently works at WTVY in Dothan, Alabama.
So I am a co-anchor for News 4 this morning, and I'm also an investigative reporter. So I anchor 2 hours of news every morning from 5 to 7 Central Time, and then I investigative report for the second half of my day.
Gerhart discussed what she wishes she knew before graduating. She says she knows what it's like to be worried about finding a job.
I was here not that long ago, and I know how intimidating it can be taking that first step. So I hope that everybody was able to be put at ease a little bit and learn something that they didn't know before about their first market in news.
One tip Gerhart discussed goes for all industries. Be versatile.
You have to know more than one thing to make yourself marketable. Everybody is going to want you to do more than one thing, so the sooner that you start learning new skills and reading and consuming news and making yourself a well-rounded person, the more likely you are to get a job.
Above all, Gerhart wants students to remember where they are right now.
You blink and it's gone, and definitely enjoy every moment of it because your time here at Troy is special, and don't take any of it for granted.
Gerhart says she is thankful for the opportunity to speak and hopes students in attendance learn something new. Belle Johnson, Troy, TrojanVision News.
During her time at Troy, Gerhart was a double major in dance and broadcast journalism. She also worked right here at TrojanVision. Still to come on Troy TrojanVision's The Week That Was, a Troy University professor is encouraging others to save lives one organ donation at a time. We'll explain right after the break, so stay with us.
Did you know dragging chains can spark a wildfire?
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Welcome back. Last week, we told you that Troy Public Radio was holding its Spring Fun Drive. Well, just because that drive is over doesn't mean you can't still support the station. Camille Coney explains.
Just a few times a year to pay for these great programs, we have to get on the air and ask for your generous donations.
3 times a year, Troy Public Radio hosts a fund drive to encourage listeners to donate.
Go to our listeners and remind them that public radio is brought to them by them, because we are a public radio station, and that means that the majority of the resources that come in to pay for programming come from listeners.
Give us a call, 1-800-800-6616.
TPR accepts all donation amounts, small or large.
Call into the station and give whatever it is that they can. We don't have a set amount. Whatever it is that you can give helps us out.
All donations made will allow TPR to pay for programming.
All the money that we receive goes right back into the programming that we pay for from NPR and that we also produce locally. So there really are a lot of ways that listeners can support us.
Tell us your favorite programs, tell us what your listening routine is, and we will happily jot that down for you.
Gasset tells listeners that through the donations, they are able to continue bringing listeners what they need to know.
And it's really important that listeners know that everything that we do here is set up for them. We're a nonprofit station. We don't prioritize, bringing in money so that we can make a ton of money here. We're really here and mission-driven to bring listeners what it is that they need every day.
Troy Public Radio's goal for the Spring Fund Drive is to raise $40,000. Camille Coney, Troy, TrojanVision News.
You can listen to Troy Public Radio anytime by tuning in to 89.9 WTSU, 88.7 WRWA, or 91.7 WTJB. You can also listen online via TPR's website. Big news for campus literature. Troy University has a new 2024 Hall Waters Prize recipient. Now, the Hall Waters Prize is awarded to a person who has made significant contributions to Southern heritage and culture in history, literature, or the arts. Reporter Mackenzie Foster introduces us to this year's recipient.
Troy University honored Patricia Foster as its 2024 Hall Waters Prize recipient. Foster is currently a professor at the University of Iowa, but she's originally from Fairhope, Alabama.
I live in Iowa, where the trees are still very stark. There's maybe a little bit of blossoms, but here everything's in bloom, and it feels like the culture is very much in bloom, too. There's sort of energy as well as beauty.
Foster primarily writes works that apply to the nonfiction genre. Foster says that she thinks the genre of creative nonfiction is important.
We read autobiographies, we read memoirs of people because they move us to know the individual and the individual coming of age journey, the individual health journey, the individual that's in trauma.
Foster has been teaching for a little over 25 years. She's taught and written about some very hard topics like gender inequality, mental illness, poverty, and even death. She says she brings up these topics because her students are eager to learn.
They would be irritated if you don't talk about the hard questions, and not just the hard questions in terms of culture, but the hard questions in terms of literature.
Foster's recipient ceremony ended with students being able to ask her questions about her career, her love for nonfiction, books she's written, and other questions related to her being an author. Mackenzie Foster, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Foster has written 8 books. Her most recent one is Written in the Sky, Lessons of a Southern Daughter. The month of April is Donate Life Month, a time that raises awareness about the importance of organ donation. Sarah Campbell introduces us to one donor on campus who's fighting for the cause.
Dr. Kelly Berwager is a professor at Troy University. She is also a living organ donor who is working to raise awareness about organ donation.
There are so many people waiting for an organ donation, and in my case, my recipient had to be a living organ donor, so they couldn't wait for a deceased donor to come along.
According to the Health Resources and Services Administration, 17 people die each day waiting for an organ transplant. There are currently over 100,000 people on the transplant waiting list.
When I did find out that there's such a large percentage still waiting on organ donation, a lot of people die every year not able to get an organ from either a living donor or a deceased donor.
Berwager says she never expected to become a living organ donor, but is glad she did. She now hopes to spread awareness for the cause.
Not only to get people registered to be in the registry to one day donate or to be a living donor, but to also bring awareness to help what the shortage is of organ donation across the country. There's a bigger need than you might not realize if you're just checking the box on your driver's license.
For those who are interested in becoming organ donors, there are several resources students can reach out to help.
There's the national registry. There's also the affiliation with Legacy of Hope here in Alabama that they could contact.
Studies show 46,000 Americans were saved by organ transplants in 2023. Researchers say one organ donor can save up to 8 lives. Sarah Campbell, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Legacy of Hope will be on campus to host an event where students and faculty can register to become organ donors. That event will be on the quad from 11 to 2:30 on April 24th. Now let's scoot on over to sports news now. We had a lot going on last weekend in Trojan athletics, including a track and field home meet, which was the first since 2019. Neela Cole has that story.
The Doc Anderson Invitational was hosted by Troy's track and field program, resulting with over 30 Trojans making it to the podium. It had been 5 years since the last time this program hosted a home meet.
Track and field carnival, essentially. That's what track is. There's a million events going on at one time. You know, it's perfect for everybody. People can sit in the stands and see 3 or 4 different events going on. We've got throws that are going down over the hills. So Doc Anderson Invitational, it's the second time we've done it. So it's just exciting for everybody to be able to compete in front of the home fans and in front of their peers.
Throughout the meet, Troy's men's team scored a meet best of 230 points, while the women's team finished the meet with 179 points. Out of all its podium finishes, Troy had 12 first-place finishes by the end of the meet.
I've been triple jumping for the past 6 years, and I've been running the 100 and the 200 for the past 6 years as well. So I've kind of just been doing it, getting better at it. I started my freshman year of high school, so I love it. It makes my body hurt, but it's fun and I really enjoy it.
There were 11 other teams that competed in the Invitational, including Tuskegee, UAB, South Alabama, and Southern Miss. Neela Cole, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The Trojans' next meet is this weekend for the Auburn Invitational. Now, Troy offers sports at all levels, from intramural sports to Division I athletics and the space in between, club sports. Nathaniel Bliss has what you need to know about those student-run sport teams.
If intramural sports don't quench your thirst for competition, but you can't find your preferred sport on the list of Troy's Division I athletic programs, there's a third option, club sports.
These are sports that are brought to me that want to be played and showed interest in to play at competing levels, competing against other colleges, other schools, other different types of recs around the country as well.
The 7 currently active sports clubs offer a variety of games and activities, from wrestling to rugby and gymnastics. However, if you don't see a sport you like, you can start your own club.
Come to me with interest first. Then you have to go out and get at least 20 people who are interested and willing to dedicate their time to this club. Once that happens, we can get the paperwork started, we can get the club going, we can find you space on Troy's campus for you to go and practice.
Keeping a sports club alive can be difficult, and it is especially important to make sure the club has support after its founders leave, or else it could dissolve.
And we had ultimate, we had soccer, and we had a powerlifting and Olympic lifting club. Those just kind of fizzled out because the people that started those clubs have now graduated and moved on. There can be a group that come in and start up a club in their freshman year, but passing it down is probably the hardest point of it, making sure that they have access to their bank accounts, making sure they have access to what they need to have to make the club keep going forward.
If you want to trade in the field for frame rates, Troy is starting an intercollegiate esports team in August of this year. There will be 10 walk-on positions with scholarships available. Nathaniel Bliss, Troy, TrojanVision News.
If you have questions regarding those club sports, starting a sports club, or the future of that esports team, email Carrie at ccarrie@troy.edu. Speaking of club sports, Troy can now boast that it has a competition-winning gymnastics team. Neela Cole tells us more.
Troy's Gymnastics Club allows students to continue strengthening their coordinates by using bars, balance beams, and speed. The club practices twice a week and is part of the National Association of Intercollegiate Gymnastics Clubs.
And I love the environment here, and that's really why I became a part of the team, as I really just figured out how nice these people are, and it's really just something for fun, and it's not as tough as a gymnastics team would be as a USAG team, and the environment here is just so much more fun. Even if you're a gymnast before, this is just so different from anything I've ever done before.
The gymnasts began competing in meets back in February. Later on the inaugural season, they competed in the NAIGC Chomp the Swamp Southeast Regional Championship and came out on top.
That title means a lot to us, especially as a first-year program. We beat out a lot of very established names, very big programs, SEC schools, ACC schools, Big Ten schools that we never expected to even be able to compete against. So bringing that title home to Troy means not only a lot to us, but also a lot to the Troy community as well, and hopefully will help the program grow and get more attention.
For those who are interested in joining the club, email the club's president at msettle@troy.edu. Neela Cole, Troy, TrojanVision News.
The club had its first annual Trojan Tribute Showcase last Sunday. It has also qualified for a spot in the National Athletic Association of Intercollegiate Gymnastic Clubs National Championship. It's time for our last break, but when we come back, high school students meet working music industry professionals, and a new production takes viewers into the woods. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
We all dream, but dreams quickly become distant memories unless we do something about it. Do everything in our power to learn to lead. At Troy University, we offer leadership opportunities from day one. We're dedicated to teaching a new generation to lead change. Do you have what it takes to change the world?
If you love them enough to suck the snot out of their nose at 4 a.m., then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right seat to make sure they're in the right car seat.
With us, students were able to customize tote bags to spring into the action of using reusable bags instead of plastic when it comes to carrying everyday items. Neela Cole shares how Troy's Environmental Club went about it.
With a variety of tote bags to choose from, Troy's Environmental Club hosted its first DIY tote bag night on the quad.
It's very important to reduce plastic waste, reduce the demand for plastic bags, and reuse as much as we can. Having reusable tote bag does all of that. So there's so many ways to reuse the tote bag, and doing a DIY just makes it so much more personable, and it also creates this fun event that gives people the opportunity to take away something that will help the environment in the long run.
These reusable bags were decorated with paint, markers, and creative stickers. Throughout the meeting, the club discussed the themes for its next meetings before the semester ends.
I find these events to be super important, not just for educating people and educating students, but also getting students to participate in activities together, get to meet each other, while also learning. I feel like if you can learn in a group and have fun while you're learning, it really helps the lesson kind of drive itself home or be remembered.
The club intends to continue promoting environmental awareness through multiple actions and educational sessions. To keep up with these meeting announcements, follow the club on Instagram at TroyU Environmental. Neela Cole, Troy, TrojanVision News.
By the way, Earth Day is Monday. In honor of that event, the club will host a week-long Earth Day celebration next week. Activities will include reptiles on the quad, local artist shop day, and tie-dye arts and crafts. Turning to news from the Long School of Music, a new batch of high school students could be one step closer to a career in music industry thanks to Troy University's recent Mic Check event. TrojanVision's Micaiah Woods explains why that event means so much to the School of Music and students, both at the high school and collegiate level.
On Thursday and Friday, Troy University's Corral College of Business and John M. Long School of Music held its annual Mic Check event for high school and college students.
Mic Check is Troy University's music industry program. It's a festival for music and industry and business all tied into one.
The two-day event hosted many masterclass workshops in which an instructor would critique them for a hands-on learning approach.
So we have, for schools, Mountain Brook Jazz Ensemble is playing right now. So we do a mixture of jazz and we do a mixture of popular, so they're a jazz ensemble. We just heard LBW Community College perform with their pop group, and they did about a 30-minute pop set of all styles of music.
David Wise, a vocal arranger and producer, and Romano Law held business, music, and production clinics to give attendees an inside look of the music industry.
So it's for anyone interested in the music industry to come and enjoy and learn.
Micaiah Woods, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Students not only met instrumentalists, but also arrangers, producers, counselors, and an associate attorney, all in the entertainment business. Troy University's John M. Long School of Music is also home to many renowned musical programs, including the Concert Corral. Reporter Emma Ellis gives us a look at the group's most recent performance.
Troy University's Concert Corral is the premier vocal ensemble of the John M. Long School of Music. The group's most recent performance was an homage to the music of Europe, East and West.
We have the western part from the British Isles, lots of music from the British Isles. And we have the eastern part, countries from Eastern Europe, Hungary, Slovakia, Macedonia. All of those countries have music represented on this program. And it's comparing and contrasting the music from those two regions.
Stula Gross says these pieces are incredibly meaningful.
It's such a wonderful variety, but what comes out from the pieces from both areas is that composers from both areas are incredibly imaginative and have hearts filled with love.
This performance comes as Stula Gross and his students continue getting to know one another in their individual styles.
This is my first year at Troy, learning a little bit about each other and what our strengths are and our weaknesses are, and trying to be as accommodating as we can for our own differences as we work together to try to grow both as musicians and as human beings.
One student says he has improved as a musician as well.
Being able to project singing things with my body, having to feel the sensation to be able to sing loud. And even with my instrumentation, it goes way farther than just singing and having fun and being here.
Students of all majors are welcome to audition for the Concert Corral. Scholarships are available for Corral members. Emma Ellis, Troy, TrojanVision News.
Our last story is a new production by the Troy Theater Department. Emily Clegg has it.
Troy University's Department of Theater and Dance has been hard at work this semester, perfecting the fairy tale world of Into the Woods.
The designers have created a world, we've been calling it a patchwork world. So you're going to see pieces and parts that are gathered together to make a really rich texture, something that's rich and diverse and complex when you take a look at it.
Theater students put a lot of creative thought and effort into their show.
I came to find that everybody has a witch in their life, and I pulled from a lot of witches of my childhood, from Disney movies and from just different sources from my life, and from witches that were part of my life, both real and fictional. And I tried to create someone that I still haven't decided whether or not she's really evil.
The musical is said to take the audience members on a journey where they learn a few life lessons along the way.
Into the Woods is definitely based on fairy tales and folk tales, but it's relevant now because it's got themes of our families and the things that we wish for and what happens when you get what you wish for. Does it work out the way you hope or not?
I think there's a lot of different morals and lessons to be taken from this show, and it changes every single time.
Averett says that the show is enjoyable for all audiences.
It's really like a musical play that's a really rich set of stories. And I think even if you're not a musical lover, like a musical theater lover, I think you would really like this show.
Emily Clegg, Troy, Trojan Vision News.
That's all the time we have for this edition of The Week That Was. Until we see you again, we hope you have a great week.